How we doing there, boys and girls? Manthis here and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Undermine Journal. There's something that I see all too often across the internet from especially YouTube videos. They tend to end up liking to quote sort of outrageous prices for some materials, and there's always something in me that says something there is not right. So what I wanted to do is clarify a few things and show people how to use the Undermine Journal. It's all too frequent that a content creator like myself will suggest that you head over to the Undermine Journal. It's a fantastic website for tracking the prices of things. We send a lot of traffic over their way because it's a really good resource for, trying to work out price trends and knowing how much you should either be buying a material for or how much you should be selling a crafted item for. It's a really helpful tool, but it's come to realization that there's a lot of people that use it wrong. More importantly, not only do they use it wrong, they just don't understand a bunch about how things work. So I'm here today to put together a little bit of information for you, a bit of a how to use the Undermine Journal. Now, let's get this out there first. A slight, there will be some maths in this. There's no hiding the fact there will be a touch of maths in this. If you're a bit scared of maths, don't worry. I'll make it as simple and as straightforward for you as possible, but it will be there. Before we get too deep into it, though, boys and girls, I want to give you the opportunity to hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. The channel is doing relatively well at the moment. I would like to keep pushing it forward if I can, and just taking 30 seconds to press that like button will give you guys or at least should I say, it will give me the positive mindset to keep going at this. But anyway, let's get into the details. What are we looking at with the Undermine Journal, and what are some of the things that tend to confuse people? Well, I've picked up a family favourite, or at least a channel favourite, should I say, the good old heavy callus hide. It's a material that everybody is aware of currently. It's one of it's a skinner's dream, and leather workers need to buy it in stupid numbers. But you see, you go onto the Undermine Journal and you look at heavy callus hide and what's presented to you. You've got all of these numbers, and what the hell do they all mean? Some of them are relatively straightforward to understand. We get some of them, right? Current price is quite simple. What is the price that it's currently listed for? This is basically the minimum price. This is the price it's currently being listed for on the auction house, and we kind of get that one. That was relatively sensible, right? Median price, you what now? Mean price, who? Standard deviation, you what now? Some of these numbers get really confusing to people, and I get it. If you're not particularly good at maths, then these can really throw you through a hoop, especially when they're then represented again, but then they're different. Why would they be different for the EU? We're going to clear all of this up for you. We're going to clear all of this up. We're going to work out how this affects the prices of materials. Plus, we're going to go through some of these graphs, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you can use these to your advantage as well. But if you're anything like me, understanding things like this is much easier to do with the aid of an example. So let's jump over to my Shadowlands cheat sheet. If you want to get access to the Shadowlands cheat sheet, it's available. It's permanently pinned in the Discord. You guys can get access to it whenever you wish. There's a link in the description down below to the Discord. Pop over. Remember to say hi in the Star Schmucks channel, but there'll be some free resources on the side. One of those is the Shadowlands cheat sheet, so you guys can have access to this. But right, let's work out what this mean, median and standard deviation really is and how we can use it to our advantage. So median is the middle number when you list all of the items in the data set in order. So this is basically saying when you look at the auction house, if you've got like 21 listings up on the auction house, what is the one smack bang in the middle? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean the average, it doesn't necessarily mean the cheapest or the most expensive. It's which is the one smack bang in the middle. Now, of course, this number usually tends to be more accurate or closer to like a market price, but it doesn't mean market price. It's just the number that's right smack bang in the middle of all of them. The mean is basically another word for average. So what this is doing is it's taking all of the listing values and it's working out the average of them and it's spitting out a number for you. This is something that is very commonly used to sort of like suggest a market price, but we'll talk about how it can be swayed a little bit going forward. Then we have this standard deviation. This is one where 90% of people have no clue what it is, but the standard deviation is basically trying to give you an indication of the sway. I don't know what a really good way to describe this. What did I actually write it down as? A standard deviation is a measure of how much variation within a set of values. In English, it basically means if you take the middle number, if you take the median, how far from that number should you expect the prices to be? So let's see how this works in terms of an example. We have the good old faithful potion of gold making. This is to try and give an example, not pinpointing any actual item in the game, just an example of what you may see with a current expansion item. This could be a flask, this could be a current potion, this could even be a current content crafted piece of gear, but we're trying to emphasize something that's crafted a lot, posted a lot, bought a lot. There's a lot of movement on this item. What you can see, if these are all the listings for this said imaginary potion of gold making, the median of this comes out at 6 gold. How has that worked out? Well, it's the one smack bang in the middle. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 listings of this potion of gold making. So the one smack bang in the middle is going to be the 4th, which gives us a median of 6. If we were to take the average of all of these numbers, take all of these, add them all up and divide by however many there are, we get the mean, which is also 6 gold. This is quite good. We can also see then that the standard deviation, how far from that median should we expect the values to often be, and we can see the standard deviation for this is pretty good. It doesn't sway much. So what did I put down for notes then on this one? Well, the median and the mean are often very close together or even exactly the same. This is representative of a good average price. The standard deviation is very small, meaning there's not a huge amount of difference between the listings, and so you would consider this a relatively stable market. There's not huge price swings all over the place. You know that if you go to the auction house, the price of the potion of gold making is going to be within a couple of gold. There's not going to be a huge difference in this. How does this change though if we look at something that's maybe a past expansion item, maybe something that's not listed on the auction house all as frequently? Let's look at example number 2 then. Let's take a look at Potion of the Past. Potion of the Past, this is representative of an old item in the game, something that's maybe not farmed very often, something that's not sold very often. You can see that, and I guarantee if you go look at the auction house yourself, and we'll see this in a few examples in a minute, that you often find weird things happening. You find some really, really expensive listings for these items that seem totally weird and wacky, but these do have an effect on the numbers. Let's look at the median in this example then. We've still got 7 listings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've still got 7 listings, so we want to take the one smack bang in the middle, which is the 4th listing, in this case is 12. The mean though, look what happens to the mean price. When you add all of these numbers together and divide them by however many there are, you get the mean, or commonly also known as the average. And the mean price for this Potion of the Past then comes out at 162 gold. Okay, does it mean that this thing's actually worth 162 gold? Well, let's look into it. Let's take the standard deviation of this though. The standard deviation is really, really big. What this ultimately is telling you that the price of this item is super volatile. The price is all over the place. It's really hard to pinpoint down an actual value of this item. What did I put for the notes though? The mean is being very heavily affected by the couple of super high listings. Yeah, if these super high listings weren't here, if these 100 gold and 1000 gold listings weren't there, and let's be honest, anybody with a sensible brain knows that the Potion of the Past is probably not going to sell for these numbers. If these weren't there, the average or the mean price would be considerably smaller than this. But because they are there, they're having a dramatic impact on the market value of this said item. The median is actually showing the more realistic value. The median will often sort of ignore the weird and wonderful things happening at either ends. Either it'll be ignoring the super cheap stuff, or it'll be ignoring the super expensive stuff, and telling you kind of closer to what the normal actually is. The standard deviation is very, very high, showing the market on this is super volatile. You could be lucky one day, come to the auction house and be able to snag one for 100 gold, or you could come to the auction house the next day, be unlucky, and that only be some stupidly high listings for this. Not really a good market to be in. How does this work though in reality? Now we've looked at a couple of examples of what can happen with something that's relatively stable and something that's a bit crazy. Let's go back to our channel favorite, the heavy callous hide, and with that little bit of knowledge in mind, let's see how that plays out in reality with some actual numbers. So heavy callous hide, the current price on the auction house, at least for my realm anyway, just a smidge under 500 gold. Actually quite a good price. I should probably go over there and buy some. The median price is, so the number smack bang in the middle, you can actually see all of the listings. If we scroll all the way down to the bottom of the Undermine journal, you can see all of the listings. So you can see how many there are. And so if you were to look at all of these in order, I know it's a bit difficult because I can't fit them all in screen, but the one smack bang in the middle out of all of them is somewhere around here. And as you can see, that's represented by the median at the top here, saying the median price is actually 520 gold. The mean price, if you add them all up and divide them by how many there are, is also very close. So when the mean and the median, when those two prices are relatively close together, you can often say that that's somewhat representative of the actual market value. And then when we look at the standard deviation, we can see that there's not much change in those prices. There's not that volatility in the market. If you come to the auction house and the median price is 520, you might be lucky, you might pick some up for sort of 30, 35 gold cheaper than that. If you're unlucky, you might have to pay 30 to 35 gold more than that. But relative to the actual median price, the standard deviation is quite small, and you can see this in the graphs, right? You can see that the actual price, the average price of heavy callous hide doesn't move all that much. Another example of this is the spectral flask of power, something a lot of you may be crafting and trying to sell yourselves, as it's very, very popular item at the moment, doing alchemists some good work. You can see similar trends, right? So you can see the minimum price right now, the absolute cheapest price you can pay for it on the auction house is 790 gold. The median price though, if you take all of the listings and pick the middle one, 850, and the median price, the average price is 875 gold. This is probably because I'm doing this on a Wednesday. Wednesday's reset day, everybody's trying to list them. But with these two numbers being kind of quite close together, you can say that that's a fair average market price for this item, and the standard deviation is not too great either. This is good. This means that the market is relatively stable. You know that these prices are actually quite close to the market value. What happens though when we look at a random old item? Let's look at Cobalt Ore. This one sprung out to me as doing some crazy things and would be in prime position for a dodgy clickbait YouTube video. And the reason I say that is because let's look at things like the current price. Current price, a single piece of Cobalt Ore is being listed for, let's just call it 70 gold. The median price, the price smack bang in the middle, is 65 gold. As we know, the median is often more representative of something that's closer to the average price. But look what's happened to the mean price. The average price of all of the listings is over 500 gold. Now, there are YouTubers out there that would look at this and go, what? Cobalt Ore is worth 500 gold a piece? I'm going to go pick up. I'm going to go gather 20 Cobalt Ore and call myself a millionaire and tell you guys you can make 50,000 gold an hour. Not really the case. something is wrong here, right? And that is, we can tell very quickly something is wrong by the standard deviation. The Undermined Journal's even good enough to tell you when something is really wacky, when there's some wizardry going on. It even puts this little exclamation mark there to tell you that this market is volatile. Don't consider these numbers to be particularly accurate. And we can see why this is the case. Let's scroll down to what the current auction house listings are. You've got a bunch around the 60, 70, 80 goal mark, and then look at these suckers at the bottom. You see this happening on the auction house, and many people, I see this on Reddit actually a lot, people asking why are there always a whole bunch of auctions at stupidly high value. It's to make the data on websites like this odd. That's one of the reasons at least. But as we can see, these few outlier listings, nobody in their right mind, unless they do it completely by accident, is going to pay these values for Cobalt Ore. So realistically, you shouldn't consider them. If these weren't there, you can see you've only got these listings between 69 and 79 gold, and a simple person that's even half good at maths will tell you that the average price then is about 70, 75 gold for this. So yeah, this is what I wanted to get to really sort of emphasize. You need to look at all of these numbers to actually combine them all in some way, take in all of the information that it's giving you to work out what's going on. So with that in mind, I hope that will help you kind of get to grips with these numbers and allow you to assess kind of the true value of items. So if you see those YouTube videos telling you that you can farm Eye of Newt from 12 expansions ago for 500 gold each, be skeptical. That might not be the case. Look on the Undermined Journal and you'll probably find out the true value with just 30 seconds of investigation. Let's move on though. The Undermined Journal does more than just tell you market prices of items. It gives you a whole bunch of graphs, and these graphs are really useful. I'm being cautious that this video is actually going on a little bit further than or a little bit longer than I would like it to, but I'm hoping this is helpful and useful to you. Let's take a look at some of the graphs that I tend to use frequently. The one I use and one I recommend every single day are these two here, the pricing heat map and the quantity heat map. If you are buying materials because you're doing some crafting, or even if you're doing some farming, you should be keeping an eye on these graphs. These are really helpful. What are they doing? They're telling you what the prices of an item was at certain points during the week. It's not uncommon for gold makers and content creators like myself to suggest that you buy your materials when they're cheap and sell your crafted items when they're expensive. It's kind of, rule 101 of crafting and gold making. You can see here with these items that there's lots of numbers around the sort of in fact, let's go back to the heavy callous hide. Doing it on the Cobalt Ore is not going to be very representative. So for the heavy callous hide, you can see that there are many points during the week where you can get your heavy callous hide at a relatively cheap price. But then when you see how many, compare that to how many there are on the auction house, you can try and work out when is going to be the best time for me to either buy these materials or when is going to be the best time for me to sell my materials. If you do a bunch of farming, if you're trying to make that first initial amount of gold, you'll want to look at when is the price at its highest point, and if you're obviously looking to do some crafting, you're going to be more interested in when you can buy it for the absolute cheapest point. This is really kind of helpful for those crafters and farmers out there. Everybody can take advantage of these two price graphs. Another one that I use pretty frequently, the regional daily summary. This isn't so, this is more for when you're trying to see what might happen in the future. A lot of people ask me, well, what do you think is going to happen with X material? What do you think is going to happen with Y crafted item when we go into a new patch? And often before I can give an actual solid answer, I'd look at something like this. So the regional daily summary for heavy callous hide, we can see at the beginning of the expansion, the blue line at the top is telling you what the actual regional price for the item was, and the red line is telling you how many of those items that were available for people to buy, and you can do a bit of a comparison. So you can see, compared to the start of the expansion, it's flipped on its head. There was not many heavy callous hide at the beginning of the expansion, probably because all of the leather workers were trying to buy it as fast as they humanly could. But because of that, the price was super expensive. Now, after a couple of months, you can see the opposite is the effect. There's not as many leather workers constantly buying the heavy callous hide because most people are done with that aspect of the game. And so there is a lot more kicking about on the auction house, and the price is kind of stable at sort of the 500-600 gold point now. The regional daily summary can give you an indication when you start to see spikes going up or prices going down. It's an indication that maybe something is changing in the market and you might want to act accordingly. The current regional prices, this isn't super beneficial for most. This is kind of helpful for maybe people that buy and sell pets, for example. If you're buying and selling pets, you can compare the price on your server. You can see whether the price of something is kind of average on your server, or in terms of pet selling, for example, you can see, well, if I go to this server, I can post it for a higher price because the average market price on that realm is more. This is probably used heavily by pet sellers. Let me know in the comments down below if you use this for any other reasons, but the one that springs to mind for me instantly is for buying and selling pets. Other ones you might want to look at, I don't really use this one all that much. This is basically telling you the difference between the highest price and the lowest prices of certain items at any given day. There's not a huge amount you can do with this one. It's not super useful. And the daily summary is just a good little way to sort of... the daily summary is not far different from the regional daily summary, but it's localized to your server. It will also show what the green line on this one will show you what the regional price is doing in comparison to the blue line, which is your own personal realm. So it's easy then to see whether your server is kind of above average or below average in price on this item. Not a lot you can draw from it, but still kind of helpful information to get all the same. But there we go, boys and girls. That was my well, I tried to make it quick. It's turned out to be not very quick. I appreciate all of you that have made it this far in the video. I hope it's been helpful. But that's my overview of the Undermine Journal and how to use it. I'm hoping that you can go forward with this knowledge and get a better understanding of the prices of materials on your realm. And when your favorite gold content creator tells you to go and look at the Undermine Journal for something, you know how to use it properly. If you've enjoyed the video, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.